What's up, guys? Trevor Hunter here at Dirt Bike Test. We have Jeff Belknap, one of our vet test riders, and today we're comparing the 2025 Honda CRF250R and CRF250R Works Edition. Both of these bikes are brand new for this year with updated chassis, engine, suspension settings, and whatnot. So we're going to kind of break down the difference between both of these bikes and maybe see, is the extra price tag on the RE or the RWE worth it versus the stock bike. So what do you think, Jeff? Starting with the motor, what do you feel?
The difference between the two for me, I kind of was going back and forth with the maps a little bit, and when we got onto the WE version, with that headwork, polish head and everything, it really just made the motor smooth all the way through. So for me, being older, a little heavier, I found myself being able to carry my speed throughout the corners a little better, and using a little less energy to ride the pace that I had to ride the stock bike for. So that's what I liked about the motor difference on the head.
Yeah, no, I guess we'll start with the stock bike. I felt like the stock bike kind of was lacking a little bit of power off the bottom, and then as you picked up in the mid-range, it picked up, and then the top end was actually really good on the stock bike. But then you get to the RWE, and it's just very consistent, kind of linear power across the board. It's pretty strong on the bottom, really good on the mid, and then on top end, it doesn't have quite the top end over rev that the stock bike has, but I feel like the extra power you have, from bottom to mid into that kind of lower top end range, is significantly more, and I think is kind of why you felt like it's easier to ride. Because you pull third gears, if you make a mistake, it recovers and pulls, kind of builds the RPMs back up quicker and easier. So that RWE power is definitely more of it for sure.
Kind of more usable power.
More usable power, yeah. For sure. Yeah. The stock bike has a fun power character. Like you really got to rev it, and it goes good up there. But I think the RWE in particular is very solid across the board, and it's definitely a significant difference between stock and that Works Edition bike. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, moving on to the suspension. Kind of one thing I felt with the suspension, being a little faster guy, is the RWE felt very planted and not a lot of movement. Like it felt firm but not harsh. There wasn't a lot of movement out of the components. It had really good hold up, good bump absorption, but didn't feel like it was moving a lot underneath you. Whereas the stock bike, I felt like the performance wasn't quite as good. It had a little bit more tendency to bottom and whatnot, and I felt like a little bit of some top out in the forks as well on the stock bike. But also the biggest thing is there's a lot of movement in the fork and shock on the stock bike versus the Works Edition bike.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Obviously our weights are quite a bit different and speedability, but I agree with you, same tendencies between all that. One thing I kind of noticed, it seemed like the stock bike was a little soft for how rigid the chassis was,
yeah.
Where this kind of balanced all that out with a little stiffer chassis.
Yeah. Yeah. Now the RWE overall just felt, between chassis, suspension, everything, felt really balanced, and it's hard to find a fault in the RWE, I feel like.
It really was, yeah. I agree with you. I agree. It was a very good bike.
Yeah, from the motor, the suspension, the handling, everything just kind of works as one big package and works really well. Whereas for like the stock bike, it's kind of a higher revving motor in a way, but also the suspension is a little bit maybe on the softer side, and isn't maybe as intuitive to revving the bike out and riding it super hard and aggressive like this RWE. You could be smooth and kind of ride a little bit taller gears and use that torque, or you could be pretty aggressive and rev it more and kind of bounce off bumps and whatnot, and bike kind of accepts all of it.
Yeah, even like the gearing all worked hand in hand to me with the pipe and the head work and everything. Very balanced bike once again. But yeah, I felt it all was a very good combination on the RWE complete package.
Yeah. No, definitely the RWE, it's a solid package, and it's hard to find a fault in it. Now, question is, do you think is it worth the extra price tag?
I know it's hard because it's always like, vet guys spending a little more money versus the ability with you guys. But for me personally, yes, I would go spend the money on it. To me, it was a night and day difference where sometimes you do changes and you're like, it wasn't worth it. This is worth it to me. Overall package, if you're good with something like this, if you're trying to build it for a pure race bike, and everybody has their own tendencies. But for me, hands down, it was a winner for me.
Yeah, I feel like the RWE I could go take to a race right now. And I mean, it was really hard. Like I said, it's really hard to find a fault. Where the R, could I take it to a race and go do well? Yeah, probably. But would I feel as comfortable? Would I feel as fast? Would I go as fast? It's hard to say. I don't think so. But this RWE, I could jump on right now and go really fast, and probably as fast as I want to go, and feel super, super comfortable. And it's a noticeable difference between the two. And in my opinion, and Jeff's opinion, it's definitely an upgrade going to that RWE. So it's definitely worth a look into that price tag. It's significantly more, but there's a lot of upgrades. And like I said, you wouldn't need to get a pipe. Suspension work, I really don't know if I could really even use a revalve. Like, it works pretty dang good stock. So that's right there. It's almost $2,000 just in that. But overall, I mean, both bikes are really good.
Oh, yeah.
And had we not ridden the RWE, we probably would have been super stoked with the R.
Right.
But we just happened to have the RWE in the same day, and we saw the difference.
We did, for sure. And one thing, just to bring it back up too, is like for being a little bit older, I used a lot less energy riding this bike to go to the same speed. So I wasn't going to sit here and say I was 20 seconds faster a lap, but just the effort you put into it was way better. I mean, at least 30% difference.
Yeah.
Less effort putting into it, I would feel.
Yeah, no, 100%. The comfort and this, the overall, the how hard it is to ride, the energy level it takes to ride is a lot less on the RWE.
Big time, yeah.
So, hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully this helps make up your decision. But I mean, both bikes, like I said, both bikes are solid. This RWE is substantially different in our view. We believe it's better. But I mean, both bikes are pretty good, and Honda definitely went in a good direction for these new 250Fs. So for more testing, stay tuned to Dirt-Bike-Test.com, and we'll see you at the track.